Now we are at the final episode of this series of Boston writing meets, and in today's episode, we're looking at the question: Are you really waiting for the right circumstances in order to get started writing? The first thing we need to know is that there's no perfect time. You have to see the best time to start writing was yesterday. The next best time is now. There's no perfect time. How are you even sure of tomorrow? Like like sometimes we make like, how are you so sure of the future? There's no perfect time other than now to start writing. Okay, so let's look at J.K. Rowling. She wrote Harry Potter as a single mother of welfare. That was really a terrible time. The conditions were not perfect. She wasn't living. She wasn't exactly what we say enjoying life. You know, yeah. But she wrote Harry Potter, and the rest is history. Okay. That there's never a perfect time. Life is always happening. Okay. So the question is, if 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 now is not the perfect time to do it, and you learn how to do it now. Now that this period is not a perfect time, what will happen is that doing it in a perfect time will be absolutely easy and not a problem for you. Writing doesn't require ideal conditions. No, you have to use what you have to do what you want to do. Right? You have to create. You have to work with what you have. Don't like, oh, I perfect condition. I don't have this. I'm not this. I'm not that. I wish I could take a creative writing degree. I wish I could buy this textbook. I wish I could go for this workshop. I wish I could buy this stuff. I wish I could do this stuff. You don't have those things. What do you have? Oh, I've lived life a bit. I have life experiences. I ask questions. I am good at observing, and I can write a pen and paper. Then you write your story. Then you write your observation, and then that's where we start from. Okay. So a couple of waiting often leads to regrets and missed opportunities. Because the thing is that once, if you as a writer, if you're not writing, what will happen is that every time you see a writer that writes, every time you read a book of a writer that you love their work, what happens is that you're reminded of what you could have been doing as a writer. Every time you see someone excelling as a writer, you feel sad and you feel bitter. Not towards that person or so. You don't even know the person, you have no issue with the person. But just that you seeing the person reminds you of what you could have been doing with your life. And so it's not really a good feeling. I'm telling you, about that feeling. It's not a good feeling. Okay, so I have here a couple of practical advice of things we could do to stop waiting for the right life circumstances. Right life circumstances. So let's start with small, achievable daily writing goals. Start small, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Start with what we have. Work with what you have, and work with the skill you have now. And over time, you will improve. And yeah, if you can't use what these small scarce resources you have, what makes you feel that when you have abundance, you'll be able to use it? You just squander it. You won't be able to use enough time, use enough money to do what you want to do, right? Use slowly moments throughout the day to write. So these are times that you could be doing other things, but you can quickly just snap in and do some writing tasks, right? And these are times like on the train, on the bus, other times. Those are times you can just snap in to do other things. So adjust your mindset to see challenges as inspiration. So there's this book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. The whole idea, I like the principle behind the book. It says that sometimes the roadblock is the way itself, and the fact that things are not so perfect, that is the way itself. That challenge is the way. And so the question is, will you be able to surmount it? Will you be able to overcome it? That's the question. That's the question I'm asking myself too. Will I be able to overcome this challenge? Will I be able to overcome this roadblock? Would I be able to use what I have? Despite the fact that I don't have the enough time, despite the fact that the writing conditions are not perfect, despite the fact that everything is not working as I would expect it to work, would I be able to use that to create what I want to create, to write, to become the writer I want to be? The funny thing is that as much as our stories as it is, there's someone else who has the same, like that kind of story, that's going to the same scenario as us, that is still writing and still pushing through. So it is in shining that we give permission to others unconsciously to shine. Imagine all these stories of people that I got Jacob, I was a single mother on welfare. You know how many people that a story alone has given people the permission to shine, both not just as writers but in other fields as well, right? It's not only writers that read her work and admire her, right? They see her and like, wow, she could do this. I too can do this stuff, that is this dream of mine. It doesn't necessarily have to be writing too, you know. So let's stop waiting for the right circumstances. There is no right circumstances. Let's work with what we have. Stop wishing we had more. Stop putting off thinking that, oh, if the things were this, I would have been this. Do what you have. You can with what you have now. The time, the energy, the people, the skill level you have. Use that use what you got right now to create what you want to create, right? So the next thing is we want to create a minimal writing space that works for your current situation, as much as possible. One thing I love about writing is that it's not as expensive as we expect it to be, unlike other crafts or other hobbies that you need a lot of machines and a lot of tools and gears to do the stuff itself. Like with writing, you can get started writing with just a pen and a paper. And then if you have a smart device, you can pretty much use any notes apps or notebooks in those devices to write, right? So use that minimal writing space that works for your current situation to write. Okay. In the Art of War, Stephen Pressfield says that the most important thing about art is to work. Nothing else matters except sitting down every day and trying. The most important thing is to practice, is showing up, is doing the work itself. That's the most important thing. The most important thing of being a writer is that you write. That's the most important thing. There are other things, countless things that could take up your time as a writer. But the most important thing is that you write. That's okay. So we need to know, we need to use what we have to create what we want. And the listener challenge I have for you is your writing challenge for today is to write for 15 minutes in the most inconvenient time and place you can think of. At least you can do it in an inconvenient, terrible. I won't use the word terrible, but if you can use it in an inconvenient time and place where maybe there's noise and you're not really feeling inspired, then you can do it when you're sitting down and anywhere else, right? If you can do it in a worse situation, then you can do it in a good situation, right? That's the whole idea. If you can deliver while you don't have all the conditions perfect yet, it means that when the conditions are eventually perfect, you will be doing excellently well. You'll be blossoming, right? You'll be doing very well, because when you had nothing, oftentimes we just have this mindset that when we have much, we'll be able to do well. What makes you feel so, right? You're beginning small. You can't do anything. A lot of time, will you be able to do anything? Not really. What's the guarantee? What's the chance? It's very low, right? It's very, very low. Okay, so we need to learn how to use what we have to create what we want. Okay, remember the right circumstance to start writing are right now. Your story deserves to be told regardless of what is happening in your life. Is the story important enough to be told? Like the question is the job important enough to be told? Sorry, is the project important enough to be done? Like, is it very important that it has to be done regardless of what I feel, regardless of what I need to do, regardless of anything? Is it that important? That's the question I'm asking. If it's that important, then we'll do the job regardless of, like, it's no longer a thing of, okay, the circumstances are not right. Like, imagine, for example, if I think that's the reason why military propagate science in a lot of ways, because during military and during war and a lot of like real war where you have to a lot of equipment and a lot of machines to protect lives, to save lives, and also to fight the enemy too. Those things have to work, because if they don't work, a lot of people will die. So at that point in time, it's no longer I feel like the circumstances are right or not right. Like making making or machines and all those things during war is not really the right time, because a lot of times periods offices and labs are bombed and explode. They like sent to the ground, bullets and everything flying everywhere. That's not a perfect time to make anything. But science projects are going on the way. A lot of things are being worked on. So the question is, let's forget about all the reasons why we cannot do it, and let's do the task. Is it important enough to be done regardless of what we think or what we feel? I'm so happy doing this 30 days episode of writing excuses, and so far I probably would make a rebrand episode on what the future of this podcast and what to expect. Yeah. My name is Oyemichi Noakonam, and if you listen to the Be Writing podcast, you can subscribe to my newsletter at bewriting.com/newsletter to get all the insights of everything I'm working on, and the results, the realizations, and everything. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and I do hope you got value from it. If you did, follow and subscribe, and leave a review or comment and ask a question, and I'll gladly love to answer that. Thank you so much, and until next time, keep writing.